Hospital porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to Humanoid TV. Well, I don't normally start my videos this way, but I'm actually in a motorway service station, and that's because I'm going back to Wales again. I'm going back into the Triangle, and this time I'm going skywatching. I'm armed with a few things, which I'll show you later, but most important of all, I've got my Roswell hat on, this limited edition Roswell 75, and I have here Some UFOs Are Real, this t-shirt here. So yeah, I've got... So I think I'm ready to face the aliens. Just gonna maybe just stop for a minute on the journey, and we're gonna head to South Wales very shortly. Off to a good start, unfortunately. You know, I'm not actually a fan of motorway services anyway, but we've just come across two rather ridiculous examples of the nanny state. Firstly, here at Burger King, you can get coffee at Burger King. You can't get milk. And I don't know why that is. I've got no idea why that is. You can't get milk. Now, also, what you have is you have a few places where there are fruit machines, like here, Lucky Coin. There's another one further up the corridor here, and well, you know, they're considered very dangerous devices, and they're sealed behind these sort of fences, these protective barriers, with avec hand sanitizer, of course, and lots of warning signs all over them. I don't know, because the one up the road, the one up this corridor actually has a turnstile. Can you believe it? There's a turnstile to get into the fruit machine area. Leanna's just gone to get the milk, but you have to present a coffee cup, a Costa, to get the milk.
What happened to my coffee?
She's taking it with her. She's taking it with her. Sorry, she's out in it. She's with the Costa now. She's coming back in a minute. Yeah. So basically, that's two examples of a real clown world situation. I mean, look at these things. What's going to happen if you press the wrong button? Will they blow up? You know, what's so dangerous about fruit machines? This sort of thing's getting worse. Anyway, guys, we have managed to get coffee. And after a lot of palaver, we managed to get coffee. Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. Feed me till I want no more. Guide me, oh, thou praiseworthy one, pilgrim through this barren land. I am weak and thou art mighty. Hold me in thy power. You can see the shadows of the clouds on the water. It's the River Severn. I know I always feel this when I come over this bridge, but I've got to do it. It's our Humanoid TV tradition, isn't it? Okay guys, so this is the Taff Valley, a beautiful location, and we're actually not far from Penturk, site of the famous UFO event which took place all those years ago. Oh, excuse me, which of course I'm very familiar with. So yeah, we're actually not coming up on the old service station where I stayed, where you can't get in and out of it unless you've got a car. So happy memories. Hey everyone, well I've arrived. I'm in the garden of my friend's house here, which you'll remember from the first Into the Triangle film, which is very well decorated. You can see the pod there with the griffins and the crows and things. And I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but the wind farm, the wind turbine is there. You can just see it through the trees. I showed you this last time, and it is making a noise. Now I'm curious to find out what happens, because according to the residents here, this house does have the hum, the famous situation where people hear this strange noise. It doesn't seem to go away. It doesn't seem to be external, but it's just nothing they do makes it go away. It has no obvious source. And some people claim that the hum is connected to these kinds of wind turbines, even though it dates back from before these things were built or they're popular. Still, it's it could be because they do give off infrasound, very low frequency sound vibrations, which can it causes problems for bird navigation and things like that. They also do kill bats and birds and things with the blades, so they're not actually good for the environment, despite what you might have heard. But anyway, we're going to go to the Swansea UFO network soon after we've had dinner. And we are now heading towards Gorsainon, which of course is where Sufon is, the Swansea UFO network. And I can relax this evening because I'm not speaking. I'm just going there to watch, is it John Rowe? Gary Rowe. Gary Rowe is the speaker, so I'm quite curious to see what he's like. I've heard a little bit about him. It sounds quite interesting, so we'll see how that goes. Well, I'm at Sufon. I've got to the Sufon event. As you see, everyone is waiting for the event to start. Little problem. The speaker is cancelled. It was going to be Gary Rowe. He can't make it. What's more, Mike, the backup speaker, he's cancelled too. So you can probably guess what's going to happen, can't you? Yep, I'll probably be doing something on stage. I haven't prepared anything, but they've got a former speaker in the room, so it's quite likely they're going to want to make the most of me while I'm here. And I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do it. Alright, we're close to where the Dyfed and Powys Rapid Response Police Unit is, somewhere in this area. How close is it, Leon, to here? Just here, right. Basically, we're going to have to watch our P's and Q's going along here. They've probably got the place rigged with cameras everywhere. If there's a UFO crash, they'd probably be involved as well, so we may see some of them tomorrow night, you never know. Alright guys, we've got the headquarters of Plaid Cymru, and it's got the flag of Ukraine. And over here I think it says Cofiwch Drawerin, but that's a laugh, isn't it? I mean, look, I bet that's probably going to say Cofiwch Drawerin, which is about the reservoir. It does indeed say Cofiwch Drawerin. But I mean, why do they give a shit about Drawerin? I mean, Plaid Cymru are like, as I said, they don't care about anything now except Brussels and wokeism. And if Plaid Cymru were running Wales, they'd have flooded a dozen more villages to provide water for bloody gender studies centres in Paris. That's the level things have got, you know. Honestly, you go past Plaid Cymru, they've got the Ukrainian flag, but they don't have a Draigach. I mean, it's a few decades ago, people like Saunders Lewis and that, and they just shook their heads in bemusement if they realised that was going to happen. It's incredible. How would we explain the modern world to a Welsh nationalist of a century ago? We really couldn't. They would be completely lost in today's world. As we see here, Tesco's have the Welsh flag on there, but they don't have the Ukrainian flag. Where's your Ukrainian flag, you Putinist scum? Get a load of this. This is where we are. Get a load of this view. Are those ships down there? I think they're ships out at sea. Look at this, look at this, look at the sky. No chemtrails, there's the moon, and there's a couple of clouds over there, but basically, this is the campsite. It's a wild camping site here in West Wales. I'll show you where we are properly in a minute. Is that Stack Rocks over there? Alright, alright, yeah, no worries, but there's some ships down there. It's incredible, look at it. I don't know much you can hear of me, because this is where we are in West Wales, and we just arrived. I'm not going to film too much because basically I can't charge the camera again until Saturday morning, so I'm going to try and conserve the battery as much as I can, because we may have to do a bit of filming later tonight. But this is our campsite. It's a wild camping site here in West Wales, and we've literally just arrived, so see you later. Bale once said, we've got the tent right up. So the tent is there, and this is my seat. Each one of us has got one of these seats to sit in. It's a saucer moon chair, Ben. It's called, is it? It's called a saucer moon chair. Oh right, oh cool. Here's the rest of our equipment if you haven't, and that's we're going to sort that out later. As you can see, beautiful. The sky is clear. We've been very lucky with the weather so far. We're in this lovely field here. This is where we're going to be sleeping tonight. There's some ships out there. They're waiting to actually go into Milford Haven. See, Alan thinks they're oil tankers, little coastal ones. And so we have the perfect location for skywatching. That is not Stack. I thought that might be Stack Rocks. It's not. It's in the wrong part of the coast. That over there might be Stack Rocks. I'm not sure. But we're quite close. See, over there, Milford Haven is over there. There's a big oil refinery and oil terminal at Milford Haven there. That's going to play a big role in the coming fuel crisis. There's going to be some kind of attack there or something. Maybe the Russians will attack it or something. I don't know. I say quote unquote Russians because it'll be a false flag. Where's Broadhaven? Is that over there? Wow, you remember this from the last video then? Where's the famous hotel? Is that the famous hotel up there on the... Oh right. This little haven is where the... Is that Stack Rocks over there in the distance? The one in the distance? I don't know, I'll have a look at the map in a little while. See, I'll show you on the map where we are anyway. But this is our location right now. So wow, yep, perfect. I think if you want to see something strange, this is the place to be and the time to be. See, I've got my Roswell 75 hat on and my Some UFOs Are Real UFO Truth magazine t-shirt. Now I'm going to have to cover those up later because it's lovely and warm at the moment. It's a beautiful day. There's a breeze, but it's actually really lovely and comfortably warm. But of course later tonight, especially with the clear skies, it'll start to get a bit chilly. So I do have a jumper and do have a coat, and I've got my sleeping bag. So yeah. Okay. As you can see here, we're sharing our campsite with some non-human companions, and I don't mean alien. I mean of the sort of bovine kind, and they've left behind a little calling card there, as you can see. I've seen a couple of those around. So you've got to watch where you put your feet. So, but that's part of wild camping for you. I was in a similar place at Holmfirth. It wasn't too bad. It was okay. You just got to be careful. That's all. Okay, ladies and gents, that's where we are. Wild coastal camping. That's West Wales, there's Pembrokeshire, there's St Bride's Bay. That island there must be Skomer Island, I guess. Oh. That must be Skomer Island over there. It says on the map here. Well, maybe it's... I don't think that's Skomer over there, it's a bit further distance. That over there is Skomer Island, if you can see it. I can see it here. There it is. That must be Skomer Island. There's lots of birds live on there. I went there when I was a little kid. But there, as you see, you'll be familiar with these places. Milford Haven over there. Browdy, St David's, which is up over there. On the other side of the bay. This is in the heart of the Welsh Triangle. I know it's more than 45 years since the big flap, but you never know. Things are still reported in this area. We may see something interesting. I'm just having a walk around the campsite. As a campsite, it's actually a field, hence the cow poo. It's actually only open. The guy who runs it is actually a farmer. He owns his campsite for just 28 days a year in August. So it's actually not a permanent campsite. I'll show you the toilets later, which is just a pair of like portaloos. And there's only 6 campsites actually in this field, which is okay. So we're all ready to see what will happen tonight. Now that apparently over there is Broadhaven. Little Haven is a little bit further along. I have a feeling actually, I'll try to see later on, I have a feeling that actually is. I think Alan might have looked a little bit unsure. I think that is actually the hotel there. I think that's it there, that is it. Which means that over there, that's it, that's the bay. Which means Stack Rocks is there. That is Stack Rocks. It looks like it actually. It looks like Stack Rocks. That island. Yeah, I thought it wasn't, but I mean, I wonder if maybe it is. I'll double check the map later. Because that is little haven up there, then it is. So we're right where we were last time, very close to where we were last time. On this this little campsite here. We thought about camping further down here, closer to the sea, but problem with that is it's like it's a slope. Whenever you pitch a tent on a slope, everything seems to flow in a certain direction. It's a bit annoying. So if you can pitch on flat land, it's much easier. Yeah, so reached the far end of the campsite now, and there's Broadhaven over there. There's the beach, as you saw last time. Looking at it from the other side this time, and you have this craggy, rocky shore here. So South Wales is so famous for rugged coastline. This is the coastal path, the Pembrokeshire coastal path. And in the distance is Milford Haven. That's the oil terminal there. So we go back there now. That's a wicked tent, that is. So I'm going to head back. Our campsite is over there, you can just see in the distance there. So I'm going to head back now. There it is, there's our camp, there's our campsite. The sun looks just so lovely. It's gone behind some of the very light cloud we have here. I spoke to some ladies who were into this, and there's a man there at this tent, the big tent, and it's like they've just arrived too. It's only opened a couple of days ago, hence the group. As I said, there's only 6 pitches here. Very, very few people. It's open, it's nice. It's just, when I look at the distance, you can see those hills. That's up. I think that's the Preseli Hills, the Mynydd Preseli. That's where the Stonehenge stone came from. This North Pemmy. Sort of I come from this area. Well, not actually directly from this. I've come from further north from here. I come from Ceredigion, which is actually north of here along the coast. But I did come here when I was a child several times, and it's amazing to be back here. Some of the scenes actually in my novel Evans's Land, which you can find as a free audiobook on this channel, are set in this part of the country. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is our dinner, cooked out in the open on an open fire barbecue. That's great. And that is our cup of tea and coffee coming up. Yay! You can't beat it. It's such. I know it's easier just to flick a switch and pour it out and things like that, but it's not half as fun. Okay, the sun is now setting. Local time 21:04. In about a minute's time, the sun will set, and it's night time.
Oh. Hi.
What will happen next is anyone's guess. We're just eating our dinner, and we're waiting for the stars to come out now.
Anything else good out there?
It's about an hour since sunset now. These lights are on the ships waiting in the bay. They're waiting to go into Milford Haven and pick up cargo or drop cargo. There's a light near Stack Rocks over there. I think it's another ship. Yeah, actually you can see it if you zoom in. There are actually 2 lights because there's 2 ships waiting in the bay. Now there's a lighthouse over here, I believe. You can just see it there. Do you see it? Hang on, there it is. There you see it. It's flashing regularly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. It's flashing at regular intervals. Probably a lighthouse. The sky's clear. The moon is it's still there. I think it'll be up for a couple more hours.
There's
I think.
Something else flashing over there. Look straight ahead.
Oh yeah.
You see? going red and then it's going bright white flash.
Let's see. Yeah, I did see it off the corner of my eye. There, I saw it. Yes, I saw it. You see that there? It's gone. There it is. I see it. Yeah, I see it. What's that there? It's sort of. It's not like a lighthouse. It's flashing irregularly. You may have noticed a little. I saw a little orb briefly. I mean, it was just like a flash of light briefly in between it. It may be lens flare from the original flash. I don't know.
Do you think that is?
Yeah. It seems like there's like a brighter flash in between that leaves like a lens flare.
No, there's a lighthouse over there.
It's out to sea. Is that what's it? Is that what's the lower headland called? What's that headland called? Not St David's. St Bride's Bay. The other side of St Bride's Bay.
Yeah.
It could be another lighthouse, but we'll keep checking it and let you know if it changes. Sorry, I don't know how well you can see that, ladies and gents. It looks like the opening titles to Blade Runner. It's actually Milford Haven terminal, oil terminal, all lit up for nighttime activities. Yeah. Very spooky, isn't it? The flashing light on the horizon over there appears not to have changed position, which makes me think it's a lighthouse. There's more lights over there, so I think maybe buildings along the seafront. It's getting darker and darker as the night goes on. It's actually quite hazy and there's some light cloud. The moon is gone down the cloud now.
Tell him to shut up for a minute.
Right, ladies and gents, I don't think you can see this, but oops, hang on. But there is a small light. You probably can't see it on the camera. Just on the right, on the edge, or it looks like it's right where those two ships are. It's literally. It's literally just in literally follow the line of the two ships south west. You can just see a kind of a very dim light. Now, I'd have a look at it. I've had a look at it through the binoculars. I think there's a car park there, and there's something a very very tiny ping of light in its wing mirror, but Alan thinks it's actually beyond the campsite. There's nothing there except the coast with the rocks and the sea.
Just a coastal path.
Yeah, so we're going to go in a minute. I'm going to go and have a little closer look at it. But if I don't come back, tell everyone I love them. Just kidding. So I won't take any risks. We're just it's just sitting there moving. It looks to me like a back of a park car.
Going down there is taking a risk.
Well, you know, but I want to find out what it is. I'll go and have a look in a minute. Okay, guys, I'm going to investigate the light. As you can see, I have you can't really see, but Rhiannon has given me like a headlamp so I can see where I'm going. So I'm going to head there now to see what this light is. I think she's just worried about me, you know. She doesn't mean to come to any harm. I think she's reading that David Enigma book frightened her a bit. Well, it's a frightening story, I suppose. Now, I think it's the back of a car. I think it is, yeah. That light is the back of a car. I saw what looked like the back of a car. It looked like a tiny reflection off the wing mirror. Watch out for cowpats and things as well. They're all over the place. But you can see where I gotta see where I'm going. I can't see anything. I can see the ships. Let's see. Here's the edge of the campsite. I think it is actually that car there. It's that car you see there. See, there's the fence here at the edge of the campsite. Beyond here, simply the coast. Okay, so that's sorted. I'll go back now. Amazing image. Now that's actually not a UFO, it's the moon. But it's just peeking out from below the cloud cover and it looks really spooky.
Ben? You need to provide an update on the anomalous light you went to investigate.
It's what I told them when I was, because I had my camera running when I was there. Yeah, it was just parked cars, I thought. But this is it looks really, that looks spooky. If I didn't know it, I'd have thought, wow, what's that? Is that aliens? You know, but it is actually the moon. Yeah, you just see a cloud cover breaking in the distance, and the moon is just peeking through. It's the sky's actually a bit more overcast than we'd like, but there are some gaps in the overcast. We've seen some stars poking through, and the forecast is for it to get clearer as the night goes on. So we're looking forward to maybe having more favourable conditions later on. So the night is young, plenty of time to go yet. Okay, guys, the moon has set a little while ago. It's the atmosphere of the night always changes when the moon sets, and strangely enough, the wind started up again the moment the moon went down. It's a very strange thing. I saw there's more stars visible now, which means the overcast appears to be clearing. There was the ship to the left over by Stack Rocks. There was actually there was a sort of orangey light above it, and to the right of it, that mysteriously seems to have gone. I'm not sure why. It just appeared and then went. Don't know what that was. Anyway, we're going to keep an eye on things. So until the next point of interest, this is Ben here, sitting in my comfortable chair, wrapped in a blanket, sky watching in West Wales. We see what looks like a satellite going over. It's a steady light, moving in a steady direction. You can't see it on camera, I don't think, but it's there up in the stars. The sky's cleared now. There's loads of wonderful stars. Of course, if that changes direction or speed, then it's something more interesting. Things like this, as you know, from the Penta Skywatch, you see a lot of these now. There's now a large number of objects in low Earth orbit, including there's the ISS, of course, but there's also 2 Chinese space stations as well, and many other things too. So artificial space objects are now quite common, and inexperienced sky watchers can sometimes mistake them for UFOs. But it has moved in a steady straight line, therefore we get no reason to think that it's anything other than a piece of space hardware. Let's see if any more appear. Guys, it's gone 3 AM. I've seen a few things together, me and the others. Yannel's gone to bed now. We've seen a few strange lights I can't explain, appearing and disappearing. There's been lots of shooting stars, including a few ball-eyed meteors, as Andy Roberts calls them, and some satellites, but not seen anything major I can't explain. So I'm going to call it a night now, go to bed. It's been interesting, entertaining. A few hours. It'd actually be dawn in a couple of hours, so I'm going to call it a night. Alright then, guys, I'm going to try again tomorrow. Hey ladies and gentlemen, look at that view. The ships are still there. Lovely view. Well, it's about 7 in the morning. Crisp, lovely morning with the promise of a good day, just clear skies. I didn't sleep very well last night. I don't know why, but I just really had trouble dropping off. I wasn't that uncomfortable. I was pretty comfortable in my bed, but I don't know. It's just one of these things. So sort of sitting there, I did sleep a little bit sitting in this chair, actually, rather ironically. I was just dozing in the chair last night. There you go. So, gonna have a cup of tea and then plan the day ahead. Cool. The ships are still there. The sea is lovely blue and the sky is just wonderful. It's a shame, I've got one of these cameras where you can't see everything. And if you're serious about sky watching, you get a full kit like Win Keach does. It costs tens of thousands of pounds, but you get a really, really clear view of the sky. Yes, telefocal lenses, infrared and stuff like that. I'll tell you what, the sky was so clear last night. I could see so many stars I don't normally see. Just like at Penturk. It was sometimes even though we didn't see any sort of aliens, the ordinary things in the sky are just so lovely to look at. You know, they're very lovely. They're just lovely to look at, and I'm glad I came here despite that. I really am. Yeah, I'll try again tonight. You never know what I am tonight. It may even clearer, and it's just really delightful. You don't, in the middle of a town like Oxford, you just don't get to see. You don't get to see any sky. Sorry.
I just take it for granted. You get lovely stars.
That's what you get in the countryside, yeah. In the countryside, you do. Here in Oxford, you see nothing. That's all. Well, you get a few bright stars. That's all. Yeah. I'll try and make us some morning cup of tea now. So that'll be nice. Welcome to Friday afternoon. There's our tent. I'll give it a bit of a geography fact check based on what we've worked out. That is indeed the Stack Rocks. So that is indeed the Stack Rocks. But that building over there that I pointed you to earlier, up on the headland there. That is actually not the castle. So that's not the hotel. The hotel, I don't think you can actually see the hotel because what I thought was Little Haven is actually a caravan park. Little Haven is actually in behind the headland there, along with Broadhaven. It's a caravan park in there. Little Haven and Broadhaven are both hidden by the headland there, so you can't see them. That is Stack Rocks. As you can see here, nothing's really changed. The ships are all still here. They move slightly, or just drifting on their anchors, but everything else is the same. We've decided to sort of strike the tent. We're going to strike the tent in a minute, pack up a lot of our gear, and we're going to go and get some food from one of the nearby towns, probably Broadhaven, and we're going to come back here, just leave the chairs out, do the sky watching, and then rather than sleeping in the tent and getting up early, because we're going to have to get up early for tomorrow to get back, rather than like packing up at 6 AM or something like that, we decided to do the packing up now and then actually leave in the earliest hours of the morning when we finish the Skywatch. So it makes a lot more sense actually. So tonight's Skywatch is going to be much easier, I think, because of that. We don't have all that ahead of us, so I'm looking forward to it. It's another beautiful evening here. Warm, a little bit windy, warm breeze, but unfortunately the return of the chemtrails. They have come back. There's sylphs and there's old chemtrails, thick chemtrails up there. So whether they'll still be here later, we don't know. Hey guys, here I am from the campsite. We've all packed up, we're all ready to go. Now, unfortunately, we've had to cancel tonight's Skywatch. We decided it's just one of my friends has problems at home to deal with, and really didn't really want to come out for a second night anyway. And look at the sky, it's Chemtrail City. If it's going to be like that all night, it's not going to be much fun. So it's going to be not going to be as clear as last night. I mean, generally we've been very lucky with the weather. It's always a gamble when you go camping and do any kind of outdoor activity in this country, and we have been bloody lucky with the weather. Last night was perfect. Sure, it was windy, but you know, generally it was quite warm. The skies were clear. It was a perfect sky watching night. We didn't see anything significant, but not to worry, not to worry. You've got to get used to disappointment when you do sky watching. And the phenomena is there. It does appear, it does manifest, but it's a rare and quite precious and really transient thing, which is very often completely absent from society. We spoke to the farmer here. He's been here 30 years. He's never seen anything strange. So we're talking about a flap that really, we're here because of a flap that happened 45 years ago. And so, you know, my hopes weren't too high to begin with, but who cares? We've had a wonderful time. As I said before, the ordinary things in the sky you see at night, which you never see in a city, are good enough for me, I think. So I've got no regrets. To be honest, it'd be nice to have a warm bath and hot food. Cooking is quite difficult because the wind's too... We couldn't even boil a kettle because the wind is just like... Well, it took us 3 hours to boil the kettle. It shouldn't do on those camping gas stoves. So it'd be nice to have a nice hot cup of tea as well. Whenever, you know, just pressing a button, you know, these things we normally take for granted in civilization. But so, I'm not going home yet. There's more to come on this little adventure. Hey, well, guys, well, you'll remember this from the first film. This is Broadhaven, where the famous school UFO sighting was. And in again, that magic year, 1977. You recognise the coastline is quite similar, actually. We haven't moved that far down the coast. This is Broadhaven Beach. You know, I came here earlier and they have flags out, you see. Beaches have flags which are put there to warn swimmers about danger. So I saw some flags which are like red and white stripe flags, which apparently means the tide's going out, and therefore there's currents that could actually take you out to sea if you try swimming, if you get out your depth. So it warned people not to go too deep, you know, so they could still feel the seabed under their feet. Now I've noticed there's a hazard here actually with because we have flags shoved in our faces continuously, don't we? You know, there's the pride flag, and then there's the imperial pride flag, then there's the intersectional pride flag with all the brown chevrons, and then there's the trans flag, which is pink and light blue, and there's the Ukrainian flag, of course. And the thing is, the danger flag is like the Ukrainian flag, except the yellow stripe is red. So I see a problem, don't you? Somebody could actually see these flags out and think, oh, that's wonderful, the authorities in Broadhaven are signalling their virtue to some cause. I don't know, the Congolese pygmies are being invaded by white male slave traders, and things like that. Not realising what those flags actually mean. Then they'll go and have a swim in the sea, they'll drown, and when they get to the spirit world, what are they going to say? They're going to say, I thought, you know, I thought it meant this, I thought it meant that. And the other spirits are going, you stupid idiot. You were taken in by cultural Marxism again. So, as you can see, the flags are now gone, which means I think it's safe to swim now. And it's a beautiful beach, actually. It's a beautiful beach and a lovely location. See, that there is that's the stack rocks where the aliens are supposed to live. And it's just over that headland there is where our campsite was. And we're going to have dinner now in the Ocean Cafe. Fish and chips on the seafront, you can't beat it. And they wrap them in newspaper. That's actually called the Daily Cash. It's not a real newspaper, but it's sort of like a kind of based on that. It has a 35p, so maybe it is. It's not. It's got the ink that doesn't sort of come off and spoil it, you know, which is nice. It's one of the traditions, you know, I like to see kept alive. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Saturday lunchtime, and I don't know exactly where I'm going now. My hosts have prepared a surprise for me, just like last time. You remember last time it was feeding the birds, and I don't know what it's going to be this time. I'm intrigued. All I know is we're going to go to Swansea. Hi everyone. I'm just coming out of the Tranquility House here in Swansea. This was a complete surprise, and my host didn't tell me they were bringing me here. But we basically had this is it, yes, a Tranquility House, natural therapies, counselling, holistic health, esoteric courses, home of the Academy of Psychic Studies. That's the psychic studies here in Swansea. And this is, you can see there the landscape above. I'll say more later what it was about, I think. But I'm glad I came here. I am. I bought a book as well, yeah, this classic one I've never read, believe it or not. Thanks. So I'll say more later. Okay, guys, I'm just having a little rest at the moment. We're going to go off to the pub soon and have some dinner. Just say a little bit more about what happened this afternoon. I went to this place, this location, the Spiritist Church, a Spiritist Centre in Swansea. And we went to a service where it was a gathering in which a number of mediums, there were about 6 of them, were doing photopsychometry clairvoyance. Now, this is where they try to work out things about a certain person based on just looking at a photograph of them. And so people go along, bring photographs of loved ones who passed away, and the medium will hopefully be able to contact them using that photograph. Now, it was a little bit of a surprise. My hosts didn't say anything. They brought me into this, which I think is absolutely fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's absolutely fine. And they presented a photo in my name of Gareth Davis. And when they did this, I realised that it was a very nice thing for them to do that. And it was actually a gift to me, because I've been talking for quite a while about maybe trying to explore Gareth's demise through mediumship. I've not visited a medium. I've not made any attempt to contact Gareth through divination or anything like that since he passed away. And I started thinking to myself, well, why not? Because his death was extremely painful. Of all the bereavements we had in the awful year last year where so many people were dying, his hit me the hardest. He was the one I was closest to. And so I do wonder what's held me back from this. And it's one of these things that sometimes my own behaviour is difficult for me to interpret, difficult for me to understand. It's all subconscious. I mean, dealing with my own subconscious is difficult. It's like dealing with my own subconscious mind is like dealing with another person, someone who is very shifty and secretive and talks in riddles, and sometimes pokes and prods me painfully in various parts of my body as well, I should add. But either way, I think I feel better for having done this. I do feel better as a result. Although I must say the mediumship was not very good. And that actually goes for all of them, because we were there for like an hour and a half, and they did like there are about a dozen photographs they did for all the people in the room had a reading. The quality of clairvoyance was actually pretty low, and I won't go into details. I don't want to describe the details of what this woman said to me, but I must say it wasn't terribly close clairvoyance. It wasn't terribly. The messages I got didn't really resonate with me as being definitely coming from Gareth. And that's the problem with mediumship. You do have to. There is a signal to noise ratio problem in mediumship, and good mediumship is a rare and precious thing. This doesn't mean that there's no way of contacting Gareth via mediumship. It doesn't be through psychics. It doesn't mean there's no way of doing that. There may well be a way. If he's the kind of spirit that could talk through mediums, and he always had an open mind to mediums and psychics, then maybe he will be able to talk to me in that way. Could be. I mean, tomorrow night there's actually it's a whole year's gone past. Nocturnal Frequency Radio doing a 1-year anniversary program about Gareth, and I'm going to be on it. So that's something I'm going to do from this house here. And if I can get a proper internet connection, I'll do that. So that's all coming up. Yeah. On the whole, I'm glad they did this. I mean, obviously, one of them did say to me, we thought you might be offended by this. We're a bit worried. We thought you might be offended by this. And it's possible some people would be offended to have this organised behind their back. I don't feel offended at all. I think basically I'm quite glad. I am very glad they did this, and I'm grateful. Alright, we're getting close to the humanoid bit. If you remember from the first video, which I'll put a link in the description box too, this is where a certain gentleman saw a cluster of people wearing white suits, similar to the Grizzly Silver Man. Here we go. Here we are. Stop here. Here we are. That's it. That was it. Yeah.
You ever said to stop?
that was it. That was where it was. It's similar to the Risley Silverman, like I said, or the Solway Earth Spaceman. Some big humanoid beings with white suits, and as I suggested in the original video, it may have been like a portent to doom, a bit like the Mothman appeared before the Silver Bridge collapse. Those creatures appeared a couple of months before one of the worst road traffic accidents Wales has ever seen, where 9 people were killed at the top of this hill here when a lorry ploughed head-on into a minibus. Is there a connection? Was there a connection between the Mothman and the Silver Bridge collapse? We don't know. But anyway, this is this very, very interesting location. Apparently, this is not the only sighting of the white-suited humanoids in Newcastle. Some boys.
They weren't white suited.
They weren't.
The lorry driver saw them on the house road. They were in an orange suit.
Orange suit, right.
They had silvery, like antennae coming out.
Yeah. And you mentioned that some boys saw something similar.
Yeah, they saw a humanoid, what they thought was a spaceman, in a field next to where they were playing, and they lived in the village, which is right next to this road.
Right.
And that was also in 1977. I think it was earlier in the year.
That fateful year, yeah. Do you know it's the exact spot, or is it just somewhere on this road?
When we go down here, now we're not if you turn left, there's like a housing estate, and there's some fields.
Right.
And they were there.
Okay, yeah, I see. Yeah, that's interesting. And you know, you mentioned that somebody more recently saw actual real people in this area. What they were decontaminating or spraying, there was weed spraying or something. What was that?
No, I was just saying that when I did happen to pass, somebody was spraying stuff on the side of the road, like to get rid of knotweed or something. They had like a hazmat suit on the back of the back, and I thought, when I initially saw it, I thought, my God, they didn't know what they were.
Yeah. Was that practice was that practice going on in 1977?
It might well have been. Why they'd be doing it at like midnight or the early hours of the morning, I don't know.
So they wouldn't have had antenna and things like that.
No, they would have been 7 foot tall, and they wouldn't have had antennae. But whether the backpack has got the chemical in it, and the tube in, whether they would mistake that, I don't know. That's what I was thinking was a possibility.
Yeah, that's a point.
But Francis Lloyd, the lorry driver who saw them, he said they were definitely not human.
Right, yeah. As a lorry driver, you've been used to seeing lots of people around the road. Yeah, I see what you mean. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's suited humanoids are quite common. I mean, obviously the Solway Earth Spaceman, which I think is really, it's not like his mother or something. Her mother, it's not like her mother, the girl Elizabeth behind. I don't think that's true. It's at an angle, it's levitated in the air, it's a very strange thing. And there's those 2 strange humanoids seen in Australia at the exact same time at the Blue Streak missile test.
And the Risley one.
Yeah, and the Risley one, of course.
Atomic facility.
That's right, they seem to love those sorts of things. I mean, Glenn Vawdrey believes he's explained the Risley Silverman as a fireman. I'm not so sure. It's a theory, but it's not proven. There may be other explanations, not least because the experience the man had, the witness, this trade union guy, I think he said his car radio melted or something.
Yeah, it basically had a massive surge of electricity that blew it completely.
Right.
And he also had burns on his fingers. He got very deep sunburn.
That's right. That's interesting. Because that often happens with aliens and UFOs, but not with firemen walking past.
Sorry.
Okay, where are we now?
We're just going past West Wales General Hospital on the left, which is also known as Black Willie, because that's the village it's in. Not there, we're not yet, we're left side now.
Hospitals. Any porters there?
Lots of porters there.
Pride and Dignity, brothers and
Lots of
sisters.
porters.
Pride and Dignity. Yes. This is typical hospital.
That's A&E down there.
Typical hospital, yeah. Typical hospitals, architecture and signage.
I'm going to turn right at this mini roundabout because we are heading
really? Oh, right. That's right. I should say a bit more about that actually, because I've never explained before. Newcastle Emlyn. It's actually I'm actually named after that village. Well, it's not me, but my great grandfather.
It's not a village.
Oh, town. It's a town. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. My interview.
It's got a leisure centre and a comprehensive school and everything.
Oh, that's something. Oh, goodness, yeah. Yes, that's right. Johan Emlyn is a famous Welsh poet who is my great grandfather. I mean, amazing.
Interestingly then, well I remember, just down this road, now we're on the Bromwith Road on the way to Newcastle Emlyn. Just down here on the right, you've got the Gwylly Railway, steam railway, and back in, I think it might have been the late 70s, early 80s, or maybe more recently, I can't remember, but a lady and her mum were on the way home, and they saw a huge, massive, quite low down in the sky, dark metallic, basically saucer.
Wow.
And it absolutely freaked them out. I think it's on the Suffolk website, but that was just down. They were just down here on the right, driving back the thing, and they saw it.
And it was round here. Blimey. It was up in the sky, this thing.
Yeah, but it was very low down.
Sort of hot up.
They got a very good look at it.
I see. I'll check it out on Suffolk's website. That's a lovely valley. It's a lovely valley. Beautiful over there. Newcastle Emlyn, yes. Well, since I've been. It's been how many years has it been since? I wouldn't say exactly how many years, but it's quite a large number of years.
You to Lamberton in case you get upset.
Oh, that's. I did go back to Lamberton once when I was a kid, but.
We're not far from
Lamberton. That's where I lived for the first 8 years of my life. Yeah. But Newcastle Emlyn, I've not been. I've been to it, but it's. Because I am named after it, you see. Not, well, like I say, not me. My great, so many great granddads was. Johan Emlyn is. Funny enough, I wish I could tell you more about him, and I know who he is, and I've looked him up, but I should have all these things immediately in my head, but I don't. But my ancestor was a great poet. He was a very famous poet. So much so that they named this town after him. So. Little did he know that his great-grandson would become some woo-woo in the UFOs who would come back to visit on a trip to UFO spotting. I don't know what he'd be saying. He must be spinning in his grave, that's all I can say. But yeah, how far are we from Newcastle Emlyn?
It's about another 30 minutes or so in the car.
Right, so we'll see you later on the next point of interest. Okay, so this is Newcastle Emlyn. There's a hotel actually called the Hotel Emlyn here somewhere, and Gwesty Emlyn, yeah. And if I stayed here and I told them who I was, they'd probably give me a free room for the night, or maybe I've just been overly optimistic then. Especially if there's Cafe Emlyn there, see, Cafe Emlyn, everything's Emlyn. Maybe I'm being a bit over optimistic there. They'd probably demand a DNA test so I could prove I was who I say I am, because. Well, let's face it, there's no shortage of people in Wales called Emlyn, is there? In their surname or their first name. So, yeah, but it's a lovely place. I did go here when I was a kid, and I've not been here now since before I was 8 years old, and I'm back. So, I revisit my roots. It's such a pleasant place, actually, in the summer. This is the Tavy. I think this is the River Tavy. That actually goes right past the house I used to live in Lamberton. Yeah. So this town, interestingly, is half in Ceredigion and half in Carmarthenshire. Now, how does that work? Because it's still the same town, so I'm not sure exactly how that works. Because normally towns are split if they're in one half or the other. You know, like Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. But there is only one Newcastle Emlyn. Yeah, and here it is. So. Well, I can say I've been here. We've sort of just come in. Now, we wanted to go to an antique shop, but it's bloody shut. You'd think on a Sunday it'd be open, of all days, wouldn't you? But I mean, normally shops are open on a Sunday, and it's silly not to open in a little place like this on a Sunday. But there you are, guys. Anyway, good somewhere else now. So I'll let you know what that's like when I get there. Guys and gals, take a look at this photograph and ask yourself, does it look familiar? Does this person look like someone you know? In other words, does he look like me? And the reason I'm asking is because he's my great-great-great-grandfather. Yes, I got the generations wrong. Only three greats, not four greats. But I don't know. It doesn't really matter when you get that far along, doesn't it? But yeah, this is Johan Emlyn. He was born John Jones. Took the name Johan Emlyn Jones. He's actually the first person in our family to call ourselves Emlyn Jones. And delusions of grandeur, I was wrong. The town of Newcastle, Emlyn, is not named after him. He took the name from the town, because there's too many John Joneses in Wales. And Johan, of course, is the Welsh equivalent of John. And he was like a big time figure in Welsh culture. He was one of the pioneers of the Eisteddfod movement in the 19th century. And funnily enough, Rhiannon does think he looks like me. And it could be that, you know, physical features like facial features can be passed down through several generations. So maybe that's it. But, you know... He was very well known at his time. He was born 1818 and died in 1873, so he's only 55. And he was a poet, writer, journalist in various things to do with Welsh culture, in magazines like Hanes Prydain Fawr. That's the history of Great Britain. I think that's a book of some kind. Seren Cymru, the Star of Wales. He wrote lots of poetry, and his best-known poem is actually Better Dyn Tylawd, which means a poor man's grave. And he did a lot of stuff all in the Welsh language. And he was a Baptist minister. Yeah, so I don't know what he'd think of his great-great-great-grandson. What would he say about me if we met? He'd probably say something like, well, I don't think much of you, boyo. Your Welsh is not very good. You need to work on that, get better at it. And what's all this stuff to do with aliens and spaceships and things? What a load of rubbish. What a load of rubbish. I tell you what, you come along to my chapel and I'll put some fire and brimstone fear of God into you, young man. He'd probably say something like that. But anyway, let me know what you think. Does my great-great-great-granddad actually look like me or not? Okay, I'm just going to film along here, and you'll be able to just see quick glimpses of it. But I think this is probably one of the finest possible skywatching locations I've ever seen. There's this beautiful valley here, and there's lots of places in Wales like this actually. We get huge vistas, high ground. I came from this sort of area, and I remember it well. Even though I was a small child. So Diana Windsor, if you're watching this, you know, this is, you know, finding a spot along here and spending the night watching the skies, which is perfect, I think. It would be just absolutely perfect. Now, in Wales is actually a very, very good place for this sort of thing. There's the Mid Wales Gap is famous for its ufological location. Mid Powys, that area. In the Cambrian Mountains. It really is a place where strange things of all kinds congregate. And this goes to show that the phenomenon is elusive, that I feel that the phenomenon is actively avoiding human contact. But then at the same time, almost paradoxically, it deliberately seeks out human contact in some locations. Balchder ac eras y portorion ysbyty, a telwch y trefn newydd y byd, groswy dyledu hypanol, dwi yn y dafarn, o drei, wedi galw Penrhyw Llan, edrych. Mae'n hard iawn, eh? Amser bwyta. And here we are, you see, we are at the Daffodil Inn, Penrhyw Llan, and it's a lovely place with a beautiful view, as you've seen, and they serve really, really good food. So I do recommend coming here if you're ever in this area of West Wales and you fancy a lovely meal. We've just had a fantastic Sunday dinner, and it's been really, really nice, and the weather is perfect. Although, as you can see, it's a little bit chemtraily, but not as bad as it was the other day at in Pembrokeshire. So we are fully refreshed, and we're going to continue.
All that is like mist. And then you've got it looks like the castle's floating on the top of the clouds.
Oh, this is a lovely location. I'm sure you'll agree, ladies and gentlemen, a panorama to you viewers. This is the kind of view I was telling you about earlier. You see down there's the castle. What's that castle called?
Drysline Castle.
Drysline Castle. And sometimes when it's misty in the valley, that seems to float above the mist. Oh, it's lovely. Thank you for bringing me here.
I think those wind turbines up in the hills.
Oh,
I think
dear.
those are where we've come from. I think they're Newcastle, Emlyn.
All right, we come all that way around this valley. Hey. This, I think, Diana Windsor will agree if she's watching. This is the perfect sky watching location. Look, this is just fantastic. It's just perfect. Come up here at night time on a clear night and just see what you can see. And you said you were mentioning a friend of yours who'd seen something.
Oh yeah, that's up near Tally, that is. That's kind of up the other end, between Llandilo and on the road to Lampeter.
Right.
Between that, on that road.
There's UFOs. You
Yeah,
saw lights in the sky.
Lots of lights, yeah.
Right. Fantastic, eh, ladies and gents? Beautiful. Well, I'm on the train now going home. We're back to the so-called real world, as always. It's a bit of a drag. I've got my Roswell hat anyway. So, yeah, I've had a good time. It's been a good time. Even though we only did one night of sky watching in the end, but God, we did so much else. So much else. Brilliant stuff. And I'm really grateful to my friends in Wales for putting up with me. Well, Leanne put up with me, but partner Michael, you know, he's a skeptic, so he had to put up with us, and he did that very well indeed. Okay, so okay, I've got like 3 hours of train travel ahead of me at least. And lucky, I've got something to read. It is a 2 Nexus ride, I think, depending on how interesting the issues are. So I'll have plenty to read while I'm on the journey, and better be off. Okay, guys, gather round. Are you ready for some? Are you ready for some more New World Order infamy? You can probably guess what it is, can't you? Yeah, it's not been a disagreeable experience. This gentleman here who's been serving food and drinks on his trolley. I went past, he's been going down the train, down the aisle like they always do. So I thought I'd buy myself a glass of wine, just to sort of celebrate, you know, just for the hell of it. And you know what happened, don't you? Sorry, cards, no cash. It's everywhere now, isn't it? So as I asked him, I said, you know, he said, how long have you been cashless? And he said, I've been cashless for 2.5 years since the COVID pandemic. And I said, all right, do you have any chat? I always ask this question, do you have any plans, or does your organisation have any plans to go back to using cash now that the COVID-19 pandemic is over? And he said, no. They all, so far, have not found a single retailer or organisation that has decided that is going to go back to cash, accepting cash, since they went cashless. It's a universal thing. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, all the best.
Bye bye. Thanks. It's everywhere, whether it's the coffee shops, or it's the pub, in Devizes, where it's the coffee shops in Oxford, it's everywhere. So you may be wondering, how did I get hold of that? Well, I nicked it out of the trolley when his back was turned, didn't I? No, of course I didn't. A lady sitting opposite me, she's not there at the moment, she very kindly offered to pay for it with a card. She overheard my conversation with him, and she very kindly offered to pay for it with a card, and I said I'd give her the cash. So that's what's happened, and it's nice when people do that sort of thing. It shouldn't be necessary. It should. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Okay, that's cool. It shouldn't be necessary. We should be allowed to exchange freely or tender with others and make private financial transactions which are not recorded on any database, therefore are not monitorable and not controllable by any state or banking authority. So you certainly get again. I think this sort of thing seems to be expanding. Certainly, I have to say, it's not reversing. Anyway, guys, I'll have my wine. Cheers. ancient times, walk upon England's mountains green, and was the holy Lamb of God on England's pleasant pastures seen, and did the countenance divine shine forth upon the clouded hills, and was Jerusalem builded here among those dark satanic mills. Bring me my bow of burning gold, bring me my arrows of desire, bring me my spear, oh clouds unfold, bring me my chariot of fire. I shall not cease from mental fight, nor shall my sword sleep in my hand, till we have built Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land. Here is the aforementioned Nexus magazine. Well, the first one. History of the coronation of Earth by 8 years. Looks right up my street, doesn't it? Okay, well, I'm back in Oxford now after having a wonderful, 5 days away. Skywatching, travelling with friends. It's been absolutely wonderful. Michael and Hannah are really great people, and I love them to bits. And of course, I did that little other video in between, didn't I? The little video of you might as well reply to Steve mumbling there about Alex Jones. That one I did in the midst of my travels, but I just needed to do that. I was there, I had my laptop, so I thought, what the hell. But I'm now back to normality. All the pressures and duties and obligations of normal blue-pilled life are now crashing down on me. For example, before I go home, I've got to go and feed my daughter's cats, and then I've got to do some grocery shopping, and I'm going to go home and listen to the Cry Freedom show, and that's not a duty or obligation, that's fun. But I've got interviews to do for my next show and things like that. So basically, it's not like the end of a conference, you know. I mean, I haven't been at a conference or anything. It's just been it's been social more than anything else. And it's been fun, it's been great. I'm very glad I went. Thank you very much to Rhiannon and Michael. For Michael the Skeptic for tolerating us, and Rhiannon for being a wonderful host and a wonderful friend. And of course you, Humanoid TV viewers, for watching me and following me on my travels. There'll be another video coming soon. Thank you for watching Humanoid TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.